Erica, how are you today?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for being our student spotlight today. My name is Ashley Deans. I'm the communications specialist at GWHT. So let's just jump right into it. Erica, tell me a little bit about yourself. What's your role at GWHT and what research team you're a part of?
Yeah, so I'm a third-year PhD student now, working with the center, and I am part of the cervical cancer diagnosis research team.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what we do at the center here obviously has a lot to do with health inequities, especially in women's health. So can you tell me a little bit more about why you're interested in health inequities or women's health in general?
Yeah, so I'm pretty passionate about like addressing health inequities. It just comes from my belief like every human body has an inherent dignity. So I don't think that your race, your nationality, or your ability to pay should affect the healthcare you get or the health of your body. And so I know there are a lot of really complex structures that contribute to health inequities, but as an engineer, I'm interested in the role that biotechnology can play in helping one, maybe how they cause those inequities and also how they could help address those inequities. And then the second part of your question with like for women, women and people who are gender queer have been historically and still are today marginalized by the healthcare system. And so basically, I think that the healthcare system often uses them for either for profit or as like sees them as a means for just human reproduction if they care about their bodies at all. And so I want to be able to help create technologies to help them feel connected to their own bodies and in control of their own bodies.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. Thank you for sharing that because that's a great perspective. So with everything you just shared, can you tell me a little bit about a specific project you worked on at the center?
Yeah, I spent the last year working with a Duke undergrad, Megan Richards, and we're developing a way to apply a liquid contrast agent to the cervix without the speculum. So the speculum can be a barrier to care because it's really uncomfortable, but is currently the tool that doctors rely on to apply a liquid contrast agent. And that contrast agent is really important to apply to the cervical tissue because it can help the doctors to see any precancerous lesions on the cervix and then treat them before they progress into cancer, cervical cancer. And so, yeah, it was really fun. We both worked on coming up with a design and playing a lot with different 3D printers and techniques to create a tool for a speculum-free method of applying that contrast agent.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I love hearing about the work that gets done at the center because it's always new, it's always innovative, and it's always exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to switch things up a little bit. This next question can be really broad, but tell me, what are your goals?
Well, I'm going to answer the question maybe a little specifically because what's been on my mind a lot as I'm going into my third year of the PhD program is my preliminary exam. And so that's where we basically draft a proposal of our research for the next few years and give a presentation to our prelim committee. And so that's something I've been working with a lot of the other grad students on and having meetings with NIMI about kind of consolidating all of these things that I've been learning into an actual research proposal. And so it takes a lot of like rewriting and revisions, but it's really interesting and exciting to see it all come together.
That's really great. Yeah, I think being a student at Duke is a really awesome experience. And once again, I just love hearing what our students are doing. So along those lines, we're obviously in the midst of a global pandemic, and obviously from everything you said, you're working hard. So tell me a little bit about what you do to maintain that student work-life balance, especially in these weird times that we're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question. So I think that actually, so the way that I've been trying to do that is kind of accept that I can't have, it's gonna sound bad at first, I can't have a work-life balance because, I think that work can be unpredictable, like when you're gonna be in lab, when you're gonna be collecting data, and then I think with the pandemic, we've seen it's hard to maintain control and balance over life when there's a pandemic and there's police brutality and and a lot of things happening politically right now in our country. And so kind of knowing that things are crazy for right now, and focusing, and instead of trying to control everything, just kind of focusing and learning more about myself in this moment, and practicing more self-care and self-compassion. And so that one way that looks like for me during the pandemic is that, I realized that the way I think can be really affected by what location I'm in. And when I'm changing projects or changing tasks, I like to move to different locations, which I can't do when we're staying at home. So I've recently sort of rearranged my house. I was like, this is going to be longer term than I thought originally. So let me make this a really comfortable space. So whether I'm working or relaxing, I feel really good about the space that I'm in.
Yeah, that's beautiful and very insightful. I also feel similarly. It's important for me to distinguish kind of, okay, even within my house, this is my workspace, this is my relaxation space. I think that's something a lot of people have been figuring out in this time. So we're here at our last question. And again, be as broad or as specific as you like, but what is your favorite part about working at GWHT?
I think I really appreciate how the research that we do in our lab looks to break the boundaries of how our healthcare system is currently set up. It doesn't look into what's necessarily the easiest thing to get out there that's just going to fit into this system that we have, but it's really looking at what are the shortcomings of the system, and what can we do. Obviously, we have to learn a lot about how the system works to focus on translatability, but I think we really look at breaking boundaries. And I think another thing that I really like about it is how the center and what happens outside of just the laboratory research, how they focus on art and storytelling. I think it complements the research really well. And I feel like there's definitely a really good back and forth between the two different parts of the center. And so it's, in that way, it's a really exciting environment to be in.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Well, Erica, thank you so much for being our Student Spotlight today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.